All right, everybody, welcome to CoCreative NoCode's office hours this Thursday. What is it? It's August 12th. Yeah, so I'm so excited tonight. It's the night before our big guest speaker comes on office hours tomorrow morning. We're going to welcome Eli Beachy to office hours. He's going to do Q&A and some sort of build along with us. We'll play it by ear. We're going to have a lot of fun. Thomas is just joining us now. Are you excited, Thomas? Do you have questions ready for Eli tomorrow? Oh, you're on
I've
mute.
always been a sort of on the fly guy. Like, it just kind of pops up to me.
Yeah. So
I have nothing specific, to be honest. Curious
cool.
What you had mentioned about what you and Lisa were working on.
What? Oh, yeah, that's right. Hopefully Lisa will be here and she can ask her question. I'm trying to even remember what that was. I'm sure she remembers though. So, yeah. So that should be great. I'm really excited. And then also, if you are tuning in for the first time to our office hours live on Facebook, or if you happen to be watching the replay on YouTube, we do bubble office hours 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific time, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Thomas is here every day with me, and Kim is here every day with me. And then we have several other members who join us several other times every week. So basically what office hours means is you can bring anything bubble related to us. You can ask any of your bubble questions. You can bring us any of your bubble bugs, any bubble feature requests. We can try out different plugins that you might be considering. Any of that is fair game. And we allow that for all of our members. For just $49 per month, you can join at CoCreativeNoCode.com, and you're welcome to come to every Zoom that we have 5 days a week. And then even if you're not a member, we have some options for you. You can always ask a question live in the comments on Facebook. We do watch the comments as we are going. Kim is keeping an eye on comments. And you can always ask any questions there. And if we have time, we'll cover them. If we don't, we will make a note of it and cover it the next time. And then if you want to join us for a complimentary session, please join our Facebook group. That's the CoCreative NoCode Facebook group. Comment on the live and Kim will send you a link to a complimentary office hours session. You can join us on the Zoom and see what it's like to be part of the group. So, oh, good. Lucas is joining us now. So we have a new face in the crowd here. I know, we're not on camera, so you can't see our faces. That will change. Tomorrow we're going to be, I will turn on the camera tomorrow so you can be able to see our faces. Hey, Lucas, welcome. Oh, can't hear you yet. Hey, Lucas. Maybe he can't hear us yet. Yeah, so, all right, well, we have a few questions to get us started already. Kim, would you mind messaging Nathan and just letting him know that we're getting going because he had a question. I didn't know if he was going to attend live, but we have this question from Alexandria. So she was able to set up some checkboxes. So you can see the checkboxes that she was able to set up and get working on her test version or the development version of her app. And then on her live version, they weren't showing up. And so my answer to her was to ask if those checkboxes were a repeating group of database things, and they were. And so the difference is that she didn't have the same things in her development database as she did in her live database, and that's why they're missing from live. And so the answer I had for her is depending on how far you are along in your app. If you've already deployed your app to live, then you are maintaining 2 different databases in Bubble. And so you have to be very careful about how you manage 2 different sets of data. If you haven't launched live to users and you're still using your live version of your app as a test version, then it's probably okay to go ahead and do something like this. It's the second time I've seen an update in the last 10 minutes. All right, Bubbles getting busy. Let's go to our August sandbox. So I built the sandbox using Canvas, and Canvas actually comes with a whole bunch of stuff in the database just by default. But right now there's no live database because it's not yet been deployed. So if I deployed this to live, most of the time you deploy to live and the changes that you've made show up, and you can do whatever on the live version that you do in the dev version, with the exception of when you need specific data in your live version. And so now if I just preview my live version, so this looks pretty normal because this is all sample data. So let's go to our chat page that we've been working on. First of all, if I try to deploy it from live, I'm going to find out that I don't have any live users, right? So I don't have anyone that I can run it as. So that's a problem in the first place, because to get the chat page to work, I have to be logged in as a user, right? So the other problem is I might have made changes to my landing page in the development mode that won't show up here because this is based on a live version app settings type. And I don't actually have the app setting thing in the database here. Oh, Nathan's joining us. So the answer to this problem is I need to write my dev database over to my live database. And that's very simple to do, but it's something that you have to be very, very cautious about. In fact, we had a client earlier today who made some changes to their landing page, and then the landing page went back to what it was before. And she was frustrated, obviously, because she'd worked a while on it. And it turned out that the dev didn't know the changes had been made, and so had copied over the development database over to the live database and had erased those changes. So you have to be very careful with this. So the very first time that you're deploying your app on the live, you can go ahead and copy development data into the live database like this. And Bubble just wants to make sure that you really mean it. You can watch it as it works. That's going to be a long wait, Bubble. Let's see here. While we're waiting for that, there we go. So now if I go in here, if I refresh, now everything that I have in the development database is now also in the live. They're perfectly synced. They won't stay synced, right? Because if I make changes on one or the other one doesn't make those changes as well. But that's how we do that. Now, I believe Alexandria has already launched live to users, or at least to beta users. And so she's going to have information in her live database that she doesn't want erased, because essentially if I had anything in the live database when I just did what I did and copied over the dev database, I would have erased everything in the live database and lost any live data that I might have wanted to keep. So you have to be really careful. So what you can do is you can take information from one database. So if I wanted to take this data here, and I just wanted to copy this over into the other one, there's a way to do this. So if I want to copy and restore database, if all of the information in one data type should be recorded in from one database to the other, I can just say, I want to take one type and go ahead and overwrite the records in the other database with that one type. So you could do it that way. But if you have a certain set of data that you want added to the other database and you don't want to overwrite anything, then what you would do is you can export information to CSV, confirm, and it will take all of the app settings things, export it to CSV. So we'll just confirm this. And then when it's done, it'll tell me in my email that it's done. And then I can go over to the dev database. And I can upload the file that I just downloaded into the other database. And that's how you would add to records without overwriting the other records that exist in a database. So I hope that was helpful, Alexandria. I hope that answers your question. All right. Nathan, you're here.
I am. Hello.
Hi, I know you had a question. Did you want to? We were going to look at plugins, right? For
Sure.
viewing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
I've got two different data types that I'm trying to display on the page. Not data types, file types. So PDFs, and then Google Drive type. So we store everything. We store everything in a Google Drive. That's how we do all of our interdepartmental storage. So I'd like to be able to pull some of those files and display them. So put them in a database on the site, and then but display them without having to re-upload all of those files. So I've been looking for plugins, and just I haven't found one that seemed obvious that worked for what I was trying to do. PDF seems to be a little bit harder, but I'm looking for both.
Got it. So I'm not sure if that would work. Not standalone. Nope. So I think I've tried this one before.
Yeah, like we talked about, I was looking for one with, an established developer, something with a lot of apps, installs, and I just wasn't able to find something that kind of overwhelmed me. So I wasn't
this
really
one's
clear.
got 2,100, almost 2,200 apps that it's installed in. Let's just install it and see what happens. Thomas, did you have something for me tonight?
I do not. Wait.
No, you're just hanging out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Tonya, I'm going to share that. I'll share that link to the public file that just to use as an example. See if I can get it in there.
Perfect. if that's you watching us live, if you have any questions, go ahead and send them over. Oops. Oh, I see. It's trying to, I need to like paste from my, there we go. All right, let's preview the page. Let's see what we've got. Static file PDF. Doesn't like that. It wants me to do it from here. That's weird. PDF URL. Nope. It looks like it might take it if I were to download it. So if I just go to that file, download, but that's not what you're looking to do. There it is. It just didn't like the sizing, so I had to choose sizing to fit. So let me see if I can do that with this instead. Nope. That's so weird to me because I mean, it's when you upload it for Bubble, it's like you're storing it in your file manager here. Nope. Maybe they do something where it's like, I wonder where that file went. That's weird. Because when I uploaded it,
It seems weird that it would have a static and a dynamic file or fill both of those. Seems like it would either be one or the other.
right? Yeah, it does. So that's very strange. Because when I upload a file, like usually when I'm uploading a file with a file uploader, you can find that file here in the file manager, right? And oh, there it is. Yeah. And all this means is when we store this, this is a link to Amazon, right? So like when you store a file in a field in a data type, like if I just create a data type here called file of type file, what actually gets stored there is a URL, right? So I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, like why that wouldn't work, but it doesn't like it for some reason. And you said this was anybody with the link can view it.
Yeah, if you open it just in a regular browser, it would pull right up.
Yeah. Which is funny because if you try to do this one in a regular browser, it wouldn't work.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? If anybody has any recommendations for this, I'd love to hear it. Any one of the 4 people watching us live. Let's see what else we got.
It doesn't seem like it would be too much different than like using Airtable or something like that. In storing data, you know, we're storing the file in Google Drive and just pulling it in.
Yeah, that's why I
so-
was going to look at the Drive plugins. I don't know if you have to be an authenticated user or if you can just, we can try it. Push files. Let's see. Yeah, this is the one that we just tried. Let's try this one. Yeah, that's what's happening. Drive refused to connect. Probably because we're trying to connect without being logged into Google. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So it's not, yeah, it's not authenticated, so there's no permissions to allow. That's weird though that it's, I mean, if you literally, if you just open a new tab and plugged in that same URL, will you try that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. So,
But I'm here.
oh, you're logged in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I can't use my computer if I log out of Google because it's a Chromebook.
Right.
So
So I wonder if it's less that it's a PDF and more that it's a PDF stored on Google Drive.
on
Probably.
Google Drive, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we use the other plugin though, if we use
the PDF viewer.
the Google Drive thing that I just installed, if maybe we can just make like a hard-coded account to use. I don't know.
Reading data from Google Drive. Any authenticated user.
Yeah, so this requires the person to log in to Google. So yeah, and that's not what you want. Have you considered doing storage with like well, with Bubble? I don't know how many PDFs and how much you're planning to store, or with like box.com or Amazon S3 or Wasabi.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a problem. Any of those wouldn't be a problem. What we just internally, all of our file storage and
Is already
sharing
in
a file
Google
is just
Drive.
on Google Drive. So
Yeah.
Ideally we could just pull from that rather than having to now make sure it's uploaded in more than one spot.
Got it. Okay.
So, but I mean, I guess it is what it is. If yeah, if it's not possible, I guess it's not possible. But because this is an external feature, so it's not like an internal communication where we know everyone's going to be logged in,
Got it.
to their Google Drive or Google account. So This is more, they just need to be able to view the files. So we can upload them all, and I mean, it's a one-time deal. There's no editing of these or anything. It's kind of, there's some historic things. So once we upload it, it'll be kind of be a done deal. But so you just downloaded that file and then uploaded it from your computer. Now it's stored on Bubble, and you did it as a static file. Then is that how you did the first
one that
example
worked,
you did?
right? The one that worked. I used the other PDF viewer, and I just put, so I could try it with this one and see if it's.
But I assume you could also attach it to a data thing, so that same PDF could have a title and a short description and other fields. Upload the file through a file
and then you can
uploader.
You can do it through a dynamic link.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Then that's what we'll do, I suppose.
So in this case, it opened up my page as a PDF in a PDF view. So that's interesting, because that's very different than the first one, which was actually on the page.
Yeah. So in a separate window, right? Or a separate tab.
No, this is this is my Bubble page.
So it replaced it.
The
Yeah.
page.
So
yeah.
I thought of that. I could open it as an external link, but then we're basically we're either replacing the app like you're doing here, or it's sending it to an external page off of the site. And I wanted to keep it all internal.
Yeah, I agree.
So it seems like that first one, which was, can you go back and show me the first one so I can search for it?
Sure.
It seemed like that might be an option if we're going to do the downloading. It was just called PDF Viewer.
PDF Viewer. It's this one with the almost 2,200
Okay.
installations.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll
and I had to, and when I did it, I had to specify that piece about, because when I put it on the page, can't remember which one it was. Nope, not that one, the other one. So I draw it here, and then I had to put page to fit yes to get it to show.
Okay.
So page to fit yes. And then I uploaded the static file from my local drive. I didn't like it. Yeah, there it is. So the whole element has to be on the page, because I drew it a little too big and it didn't like it, but then it fits it. It's there.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll play around with that one then.
I like that one. I think that one's pretty nifty.
Yeah, I think anybody with sharing information that stores it that way. I mean, that's a lot of what we have are files, like Google Drive type files, PDFs that we share and store internally. So for us, it's just a way of how do we use that existing storage and pull it over. That's what I was trying to do. But
Gotcha.
Because it's easier for us to manage things through Google Drive than it is to have separate files that we're downloading and now uploading into here. But it's a one-time thing. These don't get updated at any point. They're all historicals. So
I wonder if you do this and then, because I go to share it here, anyone on the internet with this link can view.
Yeah. So that's how we set it up on our end.
Right.
When we're ready to share it with public. So like teachers and other groups that we work with, we'll share these documents with them. And so they're all set up to, it's basically, this is the public view right here. Anyone with the link can view it. So if I sent that to you in an email or a chat or a text or anything like that, you'd be able to access it.
Let me try it on Edge. I've never used Edge before. The last time I used a Microsoft browser It was, what was that old one called? Explorer. But the reason I want to try it here is because I'm not logged into Google.
Right.
So you won't see it because I'm not sharing my screen, but I'm just going to give it a shot. Well, no, it must just know that you're not like a regular internet user with Bubble. It seems, well, hang on. It seems to be trying to load it, but it's taking forever.
Yeah.
Okay, it did. It loaded it. But
And that's in Edge.
yeah, that was an Edge, and I was doing it as a like I was not logged into Google. So yep. Yeah, and I'll see if there's any other resources for like opening like Google Docs or something in
Right.
your app. I don't see why they would want to prevent you from doing that, but other than they just want to track everything that you're doing. So
Yeah. Okay.
okay.
Well, this gets me by. This is still part of that. With initial MVP launch that we're doing. So as long as I can get some things viewed, this isn't a big problem yet.
Okay.
Ideally we get it figured out the most convenient way, but in the short term, if I can just display what I have right now, that'll be helpful.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you,
All right.
Tonya.
You're welcome. Of course. Lucas, are you here? We didn't hear you earlier.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm just hanging out as well. I tried to come up with some questions, but all the questions I have are taking some hours, so don't mind me.
No worries. No worries. Just interrupt me if you come up with something, so I know you have it.
Sure. I was thinking about like the PDF. Yeah, I have the same problem, like not to view those things, but to generate. I wanted to interrupt there, but I recognize that it's not that about that. So yeah, it's like I'm trying to generate an PDF via HTML and then just do it with the JavaScript toolbox. Figure it out how to download it, and the problem I have is like the framework or the library is not that transparent to where you could put in pictures. Yeah, there's this plugin PDF Conjurer, but I do this.
It's brutal.
Sorry.
PDF Conjurer is brutal. It's the best one. It's the one that we use the most at AirDev, but it's so painful to use it. Like it's almost like if you had to like, well, here, I'll install it and I'll show you. It's quite literally you are using your workflows to tell PDF Conjurer line by line what to put on the page.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's why it's so difficult to use, but it is the most accurate one. It's the one that has the best, like, that you have the most control over, and you can make it exactly what you want.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But there's a huge learning curve to it, and even adding one PDF that you need to be able to like create from your app can cost upwards of 2 days of development time. And that's crazy expensive when you're talking about like hiring an agency and paying a dev. Like, so it has to, like, our clients only do it when it's absolutely necessary to the functionality of their apps. And the devs hate to do it because it's super uncomfortable. Like you just, yeah.
Gotcha.
But as you can see, it's got over 6,000 apps that it's in. There was another one, I'm trying to remember. Sander recommended a while ago that he thought it was like, he told me that it was the best one. So did you say you were trying to do HTML to PDF, but using the toolbox plugin to do like use a JavaScript library? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Actually, so I used JS to PDF. Just do it into an HTML object, and then like on click, it downloads the PDF, because I don't know how to set up an API. Like I'm not that experienced in JavaScript, and so the thing is, what I need to so the problem, but with this, sorry for my English, the problem with this library is that it doesn't show really. The documentation is not that good, so you can see how to put in pictures, right? So I need to put in the logo of the company, and it doesn't work, right?
Okay.
So it's not that necessary for the beginning, I guess, but later on I will need something. I think PDF Conjurer will be the perfect fit. Like yeah, but we have time for this. Like I can get into it, but it would be awesome, like if you could open it and just show me some things, like how the logic works, so I can grab somewhere. That would be awesome.
Sure. Yep, I can try. Let's see here. Okay, so I'll go. I saw another PDF viewer we might want to try, Nathan. I'll come back to that in a little bit.
Okay, thanks. I'm still here.
Yep. So you would put, let's see, how is it? I don't know if you put, I don't know that it has an element to it. It does, PDF model. So I'm looking for PDF model here. So this just has to go on the page. And then in my workflows, let's put something on the page. I'm gonna have a text element. I'm gonna say, this is my text element. All right, and now I want to make a PDF of this.
Right.
So go here and let's say I'll put a button here. Call it generate PDF. Start the workflow. First thing I have to do is start a PDF model, I think. And then the next thing I would need to do is create text. And here I could put, oh, I can't grab that text there, right? The element.
Supposed to
So I should
from
probably
the
do it.
database or from the input, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I could enter whatever text I want to here. And then for whatever dynamic thing, like if I have, I could probably grab an input, right? And say, this is my input for my initial content, but it'll be whatever I put on the page, right? So here, text, inputs value, and then here, Conjure.
Conjure means like print or something, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So if I go, I want a PDF of this. So I did something wrong. PDF create.
There must be an empty input. That's problem bothered me so many times. I know what the issue is.
Oh, wait, what was it? What
Yeah,
happened?
there's something in the workflow and you left it open, like there must be the red circle around it.
No, not this time. This time I must be not doing something right. Like I need another action here.
Ah, okay.
So I need to like conjure, start a PDF model, create text on a PDF model, insert, start, activate. And repeating start, add a column. See, you have to like start everything and end everything. So like, and
Well, and this works like HTML, like you just print every how you say every row. No, is it column or row? Like every Zeile. The
yeah, you have to, yep, you have to start and end everything. And so I'm looking for, because I started the model A, I thought the Conjurer was the end of that. Start a PDF model. Start PDF model A, that looks the same. Test engine, create a table. Yeah, but this is the, I mean, this is load for font, add a column and repeated table. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. We could go to the plugin page and see. They like, I did figure this out once in office hours a long time ago.
yeah.
This
I had this plugin installed, but I busted my brain so hard that I just decided to go plain JavaScript, because at that point, like it would be very much easier to just learn some JavaScript and just put it in like in.
Isn't that sad when learning JavaScript is easier than learning how to use the plugin? That's funny. Yeah, but it's, yeah, definitely. I've actually said to a client earlier today, he remembered, I was like, I'm hoping that AirDev will make a better PDF plugin because we need it on our team, right? Like just for being able to do what our clients want us to do all the time.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing. So, all right, well, let me see, create, conjure, define, start, test, create, insert, start, end, debate.
Well, I guess when the company starts and we're successful, I think we'll be able to figure it out as well, like to come up just work around this problem, because the framework we're using, as I said, to put in the pictures is really like really hard. You just could barely do some CSS and HTML, and that's fine. But the logo has to be there because it's a branding thing, right? And that's the only problem I have with this.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll figure it out, I think.
Okay, let's try this. So what I did was here, this event, a PDF model finished uploading and is available in element state. So the button click will start the PDF model and create the text on the PDF model. And then I'm hoping once it's ready, then it'll trigger this event and conjure it.
Sure.
So let's try. Oh, it didn't give me a bad, like an error. But nothing's happening.
I guess now it's not saved in a state or something.
Um, there's like no download.
Yeah, and it's available in element state, right? So if you click the button, and then it is saved in the state. So from there, if it's not empty anymore, you can save it into the database or download it.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, that's all I didn't have to mess with this the last time. So like I should have just started downloading because that's what the Conjurer PDF, like that's what this action is supposed to do, is to
Yeah,
like,
so like there it says right now, Conjurer means download, and it automatically saves in the element state. Like I was thinking, it will save the file into the element.
let's go to my data, to my file manager and search. Nope. So let's go to logs. Let's see. It's like I didn't do anything in the last 2 minutes. Yes. Okay, you didn't throw me an error, but you didn't do anything either. Okay, Bubble, at least you're honest. All right. But I have this working, I don't know how many, like just yesterday we like fixed something for one of our PDF downloads using this plugin. And yeah, we use this plugin a lot. So once you do get it working, and you can buy time with the plugin creator, you can like pay for his time. And he can coach you through some things. But yeah, maybe another time I can introduce you to Juan. He when he was first dealing with this particular plugin, it was driving him nuts, and all I could do was I would sit on Zoom with him and I would just watch him try different things until he got it working. So
Right. Oh, thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mhm.
There are other PDF plugins, and they do, like, some of them are easier to use. Like you could just print the page as a PDF, that sort of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, actually, I worked through all those. I saw that PDF Conjurer is the only thing that will basically work. Everything else is just like one is with the pricing, which we don't need. You know, like everything has its like perks. If you
Mhm.
say it like that. Yeah, and whatever. I came up with the HTML, but that's fine for now. Like I was just trying to figure out how to put this thing, but if it doesn't work that much, like we will need time in the future to get this.
Oh, look at that. Nathan, are you watching? Yeah, Lucas, I will try to have Juan. I'll see if Juan can come back next week and talk about using the PDF Conjurer if you're interested to learn it.
Sure, sorry. Keep me updated when you go live next time, and I'll try to jump in.
Sure, absolutely. Nathan, are you still around?
I am, yeah. I see the image on the screen, but I don't know what you did to get there.
Yeah, so I did the PDF Conjurer, or not PDF Conjurer. I did the PDF embed. So I
Okay.
went to this plugin and I downloaded this plugin. And so I put the plugin, this one on the page. And then I just took your Google Drive link and put it in there like I tried to do on the other ones.
Right.
And I clicked preview, and I don't like this, like there's a problem with your browser see directly the document. Like I don't like that that's showing, but this part's working. So maybe it's not letting me. Oh yeah, it is. It'll let me scroll. It's not the most elegant, but it's the only one that loaded it.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to like scrolling on top of the page. It likes it on the side. But a lot of times if you write to a plugin author and you like tell them what's going on, they might consider updating it. And this
Right.
one is a paid plugin. It's $1 a month. So
Is there a flat rate?
it does not have a flat rate.
Okay. And that was PDF embed. Okay.
Yeah, it's by Bobble.
Oh,
That's funny. That's sneaky Bobble. All right. So, but that just makes me wonder what is keeping the other ones from viewing it. Like that just makes me wonder if there's something.
a setting or something that could be tweaked to make it work.
Yeah,
guess
because it doesn't.
I don't know enough about anything really, but it doesn't seem like it should be that abstract of an idea to want to be able to view something without storing it on Bubble.
Wait, why did that work now and it wasn't working before?
Was that the first one?
Yeah, that's the first, like that's the first one we tried. And now it's working.
Okay. I'll uncross that off my list and I'll try that one again real quick.
Yeah. So I just did the same thing that I did before. So I'm using the Drive link in the dynamic link box. And then I just did page to fit. And before it was making me upload it straight from my local drive, but now it's pulling it up from the Google Drive link. That's weird.
Yeah, that's almost more annoying than if you just knew it just wasn't going to work. Now,
Right, exactly.
Now you're
like,
you're waiting for it to not work again for some reason and have to figure out why.
That reminds me way back in like in 2000, I was an astrophysics major at Florida Institute of Technology, and my physics professor, I worked in the physics department, and I had a two-way like pager, like the texting, like it was the first texting ever, right? Like I had this like little device, it would flip open and then you had a little keypad and you could text, and it was like you couldn't text on your phone yet, but you could text on this two-way pager thing. And so I had one, and my fiance at the time had one, and I was showing it to people because I thought it was so cool. And he came in and he looked at it and he looked at me and he looked back at it and he looked back at me and he just said deadpan. He was like, "Do you trust it?" Like, Apparently this guy would like unplug his television and his telephone and stuff unless he was using them at his house. So I wonder what he knew that I didn't.
Right.
So, all right. Lucas is going to come back in. He left for a moment. We did have another question I was going to cover. Let me stop sharing for a moment because I don't know what's up on my notes app. So Olivier was asking, like if I could go into detail on what an inefficient app looks like. And I don't have any inefficient apps that I can show as examples, right? At least I hope I don't. I hope I don't make inefficient apps myself. But I do have something that I've been working on for a while. And it's not ready to launch yet, but I'm still putting it together. And it's the rubric that I'm developing for being able to grade apps and their developers. So let me share my screen again. So this is a list of questions that would go into a rubric when I'm starting to evaluate an app to see if it's built well, right? And so part of being built well would be the app would be efficient and optimized for both performance and then for maximizing the use you get out of any of your resources, right? So this came down to another question that was asked in the group, the CoCreative NoCode Facebook group yesterday, which was, how big can you grow an app on Bubble? And I was listening a year ago when I first got started with Bubble, I was listening to any podcast interview that I could find of the Bubble founders. And I went back like 2 or 3 years and listened to all of these interviews. And one in particular, the person had asked, like, how far can you scale an app on Bubble? And the answer was, the example he gave is like, well, if you were to make a Twitter clone on Bubble, which by the way, AirDev has now done twice. They have 2 Twitter clones that they've created. They just updated it. There's the second version they just put out. But if you put that out into production, you could grow it to 200,000 users before you would be sort of forced to move off of Bubble because it would no longer be able to handle it. And that was kind of the answer that I needed to know. Like, okay, so if I could potentially build something with 200,000 users and like have it work on Bubble. And that's plenty big for my purposes. I don't ever, like, it's not my goal to ever start the next Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or Reddit or any of these like super large sites with millions of users at the same time concurrently. Like, my goal is more like what you've talked about, Nathan, is helping businesses to succeed, consolidating their tech stack and making it very custom to them using no-code tools like Bubble and also Airtable I work with a lot. And so to that end, Bubble is excellent. But to the point that I was making is like, you can make an inefficient app that breaks with just one user trying to use it. Because if you don't write your workflows correctly, if you try to do a billion different things at the same time, you could do a billion things at the same time with one button click and crash your app. I've had times when I'm doing recursive workflows in the backend workflows, and I create a loop. And so it's just running through all of my capacity. And I tell you what, if you want to slow your app down for a day and a half, try doing that. Because it was painful to work in the app for like a day later. It was trying to catch up. So the rubric that I've started here is just asking some questions, but probably the most interesting here is the page reusables, design, workflow. So the workflow tab analysis. And especially, so the general, we're going to look for the organization, right? So I'm going to look for like, how organized is it to find things? This has, how organized it is probably has nothing to do, like in actuality, like directly to do with performance, but it will tell me if the person takes care as they're building, which can tell me something about, you know, probably how well their workflows will work as well. So I'm looking for workflow actions, the number of actions in a workflow. If all of your workflows have a ton of different actions on them, then you're probably not thinking elegantly about the solution, right? And you're especially if it's in the general pages and not in the backend workflows, then that can cause a problem because it can cause lagginess for the user because you're trying to get their browser to do too much. And you're trying to and you're making them wait for things to happen before moving them on to the next thing. Using custom events, so reducing the number of actual workflow actions in your app, because you can reuse custom events in multiple different workflows. And then workflow actions, number, purpose, the organization, and the types. Yeah, are you calling backend functionality to get things done so your user isn't waiting? Then in the backend workflows, are you using recurring versus recursive? Recursive is generally better. I was just going through the ultimate guide to bubble performance with Juan. He was reading it earlier this week and taking a lot of notes, and Omni Solutions, Petter, who wrote it, he says he always uses recursive workflows. And so one thing I wanted to ask Eli tomorrow is about how can you create recursive workflows with API results? Because Thomas, you were there last week or earlier this week when I was working with Sander, and we were running API workflows on a list, and the list was coming from the API result. So utilizing database triggers, like all of these things. So these are just things that I'm looking at and looking for and making sure that it makes sense. And it's not that hard when you look at an app to see if it's well organized. Like an example, I would say, or CalPal. I think it was the new week or the event. Yeah, so going in here and looking at this compared to, haha, I'm gonna call myself out here. Compared to this. So see if you can see the difference. So here and here, these. So the green ones are Canvas standard, like they came with Canvas, right? And you can look and see these two are a little messy, but most of these are just single lines here, right? And in CalPal, that's what I did. Because for any of the button clicks that needed to do more than one thing, I made like almost half of my events here are custom events, right? Almost half of all of these workflows are custom events, because what it was is when I needed to run something, I was triggering custom events. And don't do that all the time. My rule of thumb that I do is if I only need to run this action once, which pop-up delete here, if I only need to show the pop-up delete once, then I would have just left it on that button, right? But if I need to do it more than once, or if I have a button that needs to do two things, instead of creating two different workflows with conditions, I'll create one workflow and then put the conditions on the action and trigger different custom events, right? And that'll just like clean things up so you can find them later. Another thing about an efficient app, so like here, backend workflows. User snap here. So creating these events, sometimes you need extensive workflows to get things done, but as much as possible, I'm thinking in terms of how to simplify things. How can I say it shorter and sweeter? How can I get my message across faster to bubble? So that's what I meant by efficient. Another way of judging efficiency is you can go to your logs. So whenever, an example would be a couple weeks ago, I had a client, we did the app. He used the app for a semester with his students. And at the end of it, he had all of this data that he needed to process into grades for his student. And when I said he had all of this data, he had almost 10,000 records, and he needed to like synthesize that down into the grades per unit out of 4 units for each of the 130 students, right? And so I wrote a cascade of recursive workflows to send that information into Airtable. And one of the things that I did to make sure that I was efficient was I came to the capacity logs and I was watching as I ran it. I didn't want to go over 10%, right? And so I spaced everything out, and it took almost 12 hours to do it, but it didn't break in all of 12 hours. It didn't break. There were only 3 students with corrupted data, and I just had to run those 3 through a list again, and it fixed it. And it never went over 10% capacity that whole time. And that's how I knew I had written it efficiently. It didn't break. It didn't go over capacity, and we got all of the data where it needed to be. And yeah, there were like 3 hiccups, but 3 out of 10,000 records wasn't bad. I'll take it. So
Why did you stick at 10% as your threshold? Why so low?
Because yeah, that's a good question. I guess I'm just like super cautious about it.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I was just being cautious. Yeah, I guess having seen how slow it is to start developing, like to even develop on an app where the capacity has been eaten up. Yeah, it kind of scares you into like, I don't want to. I also boosted the capacity at the beginning of that, by the way. So I was like, I was being super cautious. I was like, I went into the app plan, and I'm in CalPal. Yeah. So I went over into, oh, Kim, I see you in the app. Hi, Kim. Yeah. So I did the confirm boost. But that only works for an hour, right? So it didn't cover the full 12 hours that I was running those recursive workflows, but yeah. So Olivier, that's what I meant when I said an efficient app, is I mean one that, your multiple users can be using the app at the same time without breaking it. And like I was saying in the original answer, there's Shell Tick, who is a member of our group, actually. She's running the largest app that I know of on Bubble, and it's about 8 years old. She's got more than 10,000 users, and she's just now starting to think about moving off of Bubble, she said in a post not that long ago. And
Sorry
then,
for interrupting. That's a real interesting issue. We talked about that in the comment, but did she have at any point in time some difficulties to handle the app or something?
yeah, so she hired, I guess AirDev built her app initially. And then she also had a coach helping her when she first started out. And she's just grown it over the last 8 years. And sure, she's faced challenges. She does have to purchase extra capacity every month to the tune of 43 units. Right now, I don't know, Bubble tends to grandfather you in at your rates, but I don't know what the capacity was costing when she first started her app. But 43 units of capacity right now would cost about $1,200 per month. But that's still way better than if you were like trying to run that amount
Yeah.
of traffic, like doing a traditional hosting and everything.
But
So
there wasn't any breaks or something, like really hard breaks where the production system would be go offline or something, right? Like
no,
what's the thing that happens if Bubble says that the capacity is done right now, like that?
oh, your users just can't load the page.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so and it just makes things really, really super slow. So because
Right.
they don't cut you off. What they do is they throttle you, right? Like they're like, well, okay, you've used up all of your requests, and as they add requests over time, it just throttles your use, and it's super painful. But
Right.
yeah. Yep. And then I manage an app that's 8 years old and has, I think probably, but yeah, like definitely over 4,000 users during their seasonal. And so during their like active time of the year, they have more than 4,000 users. And they've been on Bubble. We just upgraded their Bubble version from version 1 to version 13 like a few weeks ago. And to Bubble's credit, it was not nearly as much work or as painful as we thought it would be. So
wow.
yeah, it was a pretty painless process, even though that app is so old. I have been thinking that maybe we need to rebuild their app, but I've also run into the recent problem where that's not like rebuilding versus refactoring. And both of those things tend to be very painful. So it's almost like if I'm ever faced with a client who needs to rebuild their app again, I won't be willing to do it unless we scope everything from scratch. So yeah.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, of course. Awesome. Well, do we have any other questions before we wrap up for this evening?
I'm good.
No. Okay.
I think I'm good as well, but if I join next time, I will be able to have something to think of, because right now it was just some off guard thing to join, but next time I'll be prepared.
Sure. Awesome. Yeah. And next time is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And because it's going to be a special guest, I'll extend the complimentary session to you another time, Lucas. You can use that tomorrow or on any session you want. And tomorrow, Eli Beachy will be joining us for our Q&A and build along. Eli is the person that we go to at AirDev whenever we have a hard question, as we would call it. So I'm very excited to host him here. And if you're watching live or watching the replay and you would like to get in on that session, go ahead and comment on the live, and Kim will send you a link. We offer all of our members at CoCreative NoCode's Facebook group a complimentary office hours session, and we'd love to see you. Thank you, Thomas and Nathan and Lucas, for being here. Thank you also to Kim, who apparently got, Zoom crashed on her. So she got kicked off. But thank you, Kim, for everything. And we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thanks, Tonya.
everybody.
Take it easy.